Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I had an interesting chat last night with Rien, Schalkwijk, Vidas, Pinkevicius and James Flores. And we had an interesting chat about the way we start our live streams, and apparently I always say good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening, friends, or something along those lines. So I've got to be careful. I don't want to repeat myself all the time. So anyway, good evening, folks. Welcome back to a Sunday night is organ music night. And oh, we've got lots of goodies for you tonight. It's going to be a kind of, well, we started there with a crazy fanfare. Yeah. We are, of course, all British people and all British citizens or citizens, subjects of the British royal family. We are all sort of completely awestruck by the events happening in the United Kingdom at the moment. The sad demise of Her Majesty on Thursday. Yes, it was Thursday. It feels like ages ago, but it was only Thursday. And the immediate accession to the throne of her son Charles, now King Charles. That's just the way things work. Everything has to go like that. We're living in an age now where, we sort of expect everyone to be sort of snowflakey and lovey-dovey and, oh, we've got to let the Queen rest. Well, that's not the way it works. In years gone by when things like this happened, don't forget, it was absolutely instant and, it was just announced to the public as the Queen is dead, long live the King. And that was it. And everyone moved on and, oh, we've got a king now. That kind of thing. Or the King is dead, long live the King in the old days, and that kind of thing. That's just the way it worked. And nowadays we're all sort of very lovey-dovey, which I suppose is nicer. It is actually, it's much nicer, isn't it? We're much more sort of, what's the word we're looking for? Empathetic with each other. Is that a word? You know what I mean. Anyway, so there we are. So this evening we're going to have a bit of a sort of mixed bag of music. We've got some royal themes. We have some hymns. We have some of Charles's favourite hymns. We have another couple of things that I wanted to play on Friday night but didn't get round to. And it turns out that one of the pieces I have from Friday night was a favourite of, get ready for this, it was a favourite of Her Majesty, the Queen, and she sang it to her children when they were young. How's about that? So I can't imagine the Queen singing this piece of music. You will be amazed as well when you hear it. So we're going to do that later on, so do hang around for that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we started this evening with a big fanfare and also a piece of music called St. George's, Edinburgh. The other day I was doing a request for our friend Ian Lavery and for his dad, an ex-serviceman who obviously was had his wonderful royal connections as well. And Ian also told me a story about when he met the Queen. So there you are. Ian met the Queen a couple of times too. And I then played this, assuming I had the right melody. Turns out I had the wrong melody altogether. So thank you, Ian, for pointing that out to me. And that then tonight was the correct melody. So that's for Ian's dad, Joe. Sadly, no longer with us, but a fitting tribute there, I hope. So, we're on the organ of Billerbeck this evening, and I have some very exciting, actually we've got exciting news tonight, we've got worrying news, and we've got scary news. So there you are. The good news is, if you have ordered, or if you ordered months ago, pre-ordered your copy, there's the CD over there, Fraser Gartshore's Organ Works, and you still haven't received yours for whatever reason. Everyone's using Corona as an excuse. I'm not, but everyone else is. Finally, ta-da! Finally, I got hold of more books, of music. Oh, I've already got a dirty mark on the back. This is my one anyway. But yes, finally I've got hold of more books. They were supposed to be here 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago, ages ago, and they arrived yesterday on Saturday. So it's wonderful. So tonight I'm actually going to play two of my pieces from the Fraser Gartshore's Organ Works, composed for organ by Fraser M. Gartshore. Yes, well, obviously. And these were commissioned works by you for the new CD project. And as soon as I know that everybody has finally got their copy of this, I know if you haven't already, you've already told me, so you don't need to remind me again. Thank you. Copies will be going out tomorrow around the world again for those who haven't got them or didn't get them for some bizarre reason. Funnily enough, not many came back to me, which was worrying. So they're lost in space somewhere, which is rather worrying. But tonight I'm going to play two of the pieces, one of which was actually requested already, so that's exciting. So we're going to do that later. And yes, all sorts of exciting things. Right, let's have a hymn. Let's take it from here. Now, our new king was, of course, the Prince of Wales. And he is now no longer the Prince of Wales. His son, William, is now the Prince of Wales. I can't think of the numbers anymore. I used to know the numbers of these things. I'm so disgraceful. Oh, there it was, there it was, there it was. Toot. Right. And of course, we all know, as our friend Jez will also tell us, we all know that the best hymn melodies in the world come from Wales. Of course they do. Best singers in the world come from Wales as well. Tom Jones, Shirley Bassey. Need I say any more? Can anyone actually sing better than Tom Jones? That's a question I've always asked myself. If you want to see something amazing, actually, just this, I don't know where this came from. This has just suddenly appeared in my mind. I said Tom Jones and I suddenly have a picture of him. Go and look on YouTube. We're all on YouTube together. Go and look on YouTube. Type in Tom Jones, Proud Mary, the old Creedence Clearwater Revival song. And Tom Jones sings that music like it was written for him. Oh my God, it's amazing. Even the Tina Turner version of it, which I always thought was pretty good, pales into insignificance when you hear the Tom Jones version of it. Tom Jones was amazing. Anyway, Sir Tom Jones is now, I think, 410 years old, or something like that. Sorry, Tom, if you're listening, which you probably aren't. But one never knows. One never knows. This is one of the Welsh hits, one of the Welsh hymns. You all know it. Love Divine, All Loves Excelling, number 408 in the English hymnal. And it's one of my favourite hymn melodies because you can go bananas with the harmony. Let's do just that. Years and years and years ago, I used to visit Liverpool a lot. Wonderful city anywhere. And I had friends in Liverpool and near Liverpool, St Helens, and also in Manchester. An old friend of mine, I haven't seen him for years, but we do keep in touch. The organist entertains, Nigel Ogden. Remember Nigel? And Nigel lived in Manchester in those days. And I used to visit Nigel a lot. And I had other friends, like I say, in St Helens and in Liverpool. And when I was down in that area, I would always make my way to Liverpool and try to spend as much time as possible in the cathedral, the Anglican cathedral. And Professor Ian Tracy, who was still organist then, I knew Ian quite well, and I used to get to play the organ quite regularly. And I would occasionally turn up, you know, half an hour before evensong and say, hello, here I am. And Ian would say, oh, wonderful, right, go play. And I would get to play the hymns, or some of the hymns. And I remember playing that on the Liverpool Cathedral organ. From the upstairs console, it was always the choir was down singing there, you were up on the upstairs console, which was anecdote time. I hope Ian doesn't hear this. If he does, I do apologise, but it is quite funny. At the upstairs console, and Ian Tracy has a technique, or had a technique in those days, where he would have the organ bench right up against the bottom keyboard. He called it the Italian technique, yeah? And a very dainty technique, very dainty. It was good for pedals apparently, but he was right up on the choir manual. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there were 5 manuals, of course. And Ian was right up on this, and he would play this. So he would swing off the organ bench, and I would swing on the organ bench, and I would be right on top of it. I was very thin in those days as well. Nowadays, however, both Ian and I are slightly more rotund. So I suspect Ian will be sitting slightly further away from the console in those days. But those are the sorts of strange things I remember about playing. So yes, so playing one of the finest cathedral organs in the world and playing one of the finest pieces of Anglican music in the world. What a treat that was. And I didn't play it as it was written in the book, you know, just down here, where people saying, I did all that, you know, full octaves and huge chords in both hands. And when you start doing that, and there's a big congregation downstairs, they go mental. They love it. So there you are. The good old days, when people weren't afraid to make a noise. No political correctness in those days. Ah, the 90s. Weren't the 90s wonderful? Anyway, so there we are. So there's that Welsh hymn. Now, there's another Welsh piece of music that was requested this evening, anonymously. We still have people who request things anonymously, which I think is rather cute. So thank you very much for your requests. Ian is still the organist at Liverpool Cathedral. Right, that's it. I'm going to go and find him. I used to love visiting Ian. Wonderful, wonderful, incredible sense of humour. Typical Liverpudlian, obviously. He had that sort of lovely sort of Paul McCartney style banter about him, which I always loved. I must go back and see him. If anyone knows and is in touch with Ian Tracy, say hi from me. Anyway. Yes, we still have people who request things anonymously, which I think is rather cute. If you have requests, gang@gartshore.de is the place to send them. Vanessa is sitting here, armed with a laptop computer, not only doing the chopping and changing of pictures and things, but she's manning the chat and all the things she does there. There you are. And while you're writing us an email, why not head over to the link at the top of the chat there and get yourself a virtual concert ticket as well. Thank you very much indeed. Here's a Welsh tune for an anonymous requester and donor. all through the night. I'm not even going to attempt the Welsh pronunciation of that. I'll leave that to the experts. I shall leave that to the experts. All right, let's have a piece of music. This turns out complete. Let's have a piece of music. Of course, we're going to have a piece of music. What else are we doing? Fraser Gartshore's Organ Works, coming soon to an online shop near you. Not yet. Like I say, I'm waiting until I make sure and know that everybody who sponsored the thing at the beginning, who helped fund it, that they have gotten hold of theirs. So bear with us. But within a week, we should be able to start flogging the CDs. Get ready for Christmas this year. Supposed to be ready for Christmas last year. It's the last time I'm ever going to promise anything on a certain date, a certain physical thing, because it just, you can't rely on people anymore. People are just so unreliable. Such a shame. Anyway, I see Nancy and a lot of people talking about different kinds of cars. Bentleys, Mercedes.
Wir raten, was Nancy für ein Auto fährt.
Nancy. Oh, what does Nancy drive? Nancy. No, Nancy drives. Nancy drives. What does Nancy drive? Nancy drives something cool. Nancy's got something like a no Lexus. Nancy's a Lexus girl. Lexus RX something or other. I reckon Nancy's in an RX. I reckon it's a Lexus. Am I right? Something along those lines. Am I right? Do tell me. Lexus. Yeah. I'm saying Nancy drives a Lexus. Anyway, 10 pieces of music were commissioned, and those 10 pieces of music made it onto the CD, Fraser Gartshore's Organ Works. And they're a complete mixed bunch. There's some theatre organ music on there, there's some jazzy music on there, there's some classical style music on there, there's some rocky music on there, some rock music kind of thing. All sorts of music in different styles. There are a couple of classical pieces in classical style, but one of them, it's sort of remember in the old selection there was a thing called Prelude in D. It was one of my sort of standard, let's start very gently, build up to something, and then right back down again. It's one of those, and it was for friend of the channel and Gartshore gang member Michael T. We'll just leave it at that. And all the pieces of music have been named after the people who got them. So this guy, because his name is Michael T, this piece of music is called Misterioso Tranquillo, which I think sounds magnificent. And the idea of it being mysterious is because the hymn tune that comes in the middle of it is Come Holy Ghost, which turns out, perfect for this evening, to be one of King Charles's favourite hymn tunes. How do I know? Google it. Anyway, so I found all this, and it turns out, purely by chance, that this is one of the pieces that I wrote, and it's that melody, and because it's all about Holy Ghosts, it's called Misterioso Tranquillo. And I'm actually quite proud of my harmonies in this one, so see what you think. See what you think. This was my composition for Michael, and let's see what you think. It was actually recorded on a different organ. It was recorded on the Alessandria organ, and for some reason I'm having problem with Alessandria this evening. People are having PayPal problems this evening, apparently, yeah, which is rather worrying. So thank you for trying, people. That's very kind of you. Vanessa, mach mal einfach die E-Mail-Adresse, die PayPal-Adresse. Ich glaube, Fraser Gartshore Organist at, isn't it? That's the one. Yeah. Okay. Vanessa's got a link for you, another link for you, and this should work. This should work. Apparently, something's wrong with the PayPal normal page tonight. Rather worrying. Anyway, this is for Michael, and now for the first time, the world premiere live on YouTube. Enjoy. even if I did write that myself, I kind of like that. I kind of like it. I know it's a bit cheeky saying that, isn't it? But it's a mysterious sort of thing. I love that. I don't know where they came from. It's a scale, yeah? It's a scale, and I harmonized it like that. Let me go back to some sort of normal sounding things. That's clever, isn't it? That's film music, really, isn't it? Sort of weird, bizarre, and there's this kind of things. Where did I get those? Where did I get that from? That's from film music. Does anyone know what film that's from? One of my favorite films. If you know me well, you know what that's all about. Science fiction stuff. Jerry should know that one because there's a theremin in it. Who knows it? Yeah? And then this. Taking you there. Wonderful, wonderful film. If I said 3 words from that film, you would all know what it was. But I'm not going to, because that would give it away. Alien language. We're going to stick to this organ tonight, because it's great fun. Though, if we have requests for it, there may be a bit of theatre organ towards the end of the evening. But we're going to stick with this one, because this is a beautiful organ. Sonus Paradises, Billerbeck sample set. Absolutely magnificent. You can do anything with it. Ladies and gentlemen, I said we had news. We had interesting news, we had weird news, and we had crazy news. This thing that I am talking to you on, this camera, about, wie lange her ist es eigentlich? Wann haben wir das eigentlich gemacht? Es muss ein Jahr sein eigentlich, oder? It must be exactly a year. Oh, Rien. Thank you very much, Rien. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Thank you. We're going to do Rien's birthday again in a minute because Rien was 50 the other day. I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm going to be 50 in a couple of months' time, so I can't say anything. Anyway, this camera here, a year ago exactly, I thought I was leasing the camera to buy it. It turns out I only rented it. It turns out I only rented it, so it's going to have to go back, which is really rather annoying because we don't have a replacement camera. So we've got that one, we have my old GoPro that does the feet there, and we have my iPhone, which is doing this one up here. Now, I would actually quite like to keep this camera because it's good quality. It's a semi, I'm not going to say professional because that's not true. It's a decent Black Magic camera. That's the company that makes them, and a decent sort of lens on it as well. And the thing is, it's a dedicated sort of live stream video camera thing. Yeah, so it doesn't overheat. It doesn't, it doesn't break. It doesn't do anything. You switch it on, set it up, and it's perfect forever. It's absolutely wonderful. And like I say, I thought we leased it to buy, but it turns out we only rented it, which means it's due back at the end of September. And I didn't realize this. I got an email from the company that we got it from, and they said, yes, really look forward to receiving our camera back. No. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are feeling generous and would like to help us, we want to purchase that camera. I spoke to them, and they will give us the yearly rent price. They will take that off the camera, so it will be slightly less expensive. Slightly less expensive. At the end of the day, though, it will still cost if we want to keep it. It will still cost us around about. Soll ich denn sagen?
Was denn?
Wie viel es wirklich kosten wird, wenn wir es behalten wollen? Vanessa says, no, I can't tell you the exact price, because if we tell you the exact price...
In Deutschland spricht man nicht
Oh,
über
see,
Geld.
in Germany we don't talk about money, is what she says here. Let's put it like this. A considerable 3-digit sum would be required to keep the camera, and that's a lot of money, and something we can't afford at the moment. So we're going to start saving up for it. So we've got until the end of September. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you should feel inclined to help us out with technical stuff, then thank you. That would be absolutely marvelous. If you're doing a PayPal thing, you can actually choose an option to say, I'm donating towards technical equipment, that kind of thing. So if you want to do that, then feel free to do that. I have to say this because somebody asked me to say it. One of you out there in television land asked me to say this. If you don't like PayPal, check the description of the video below. There is a link, or not a link, but there are details of our actual bank account. People don't like PayPal. They want to donate something straight into the bank account. You are more than welcome to do that. Details can be found down below if you're really interested in doing that. I would keep that to European folks because bank charges, international bank charges, are probably rather expensive. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on any banking matters, as any member of my family will tell you. But I was asked to mention that because a number of people like that option as well. They don't have PayPal. So anyway, so there you are. So there's the weird news. We thought we had this camera for, you know, another couple of years and then it would be paid off completely. At the moment we've been paying, what were we paying, 60 euros a month for it? Oh, I'm not allowed to tell you that. I shouldn't be. We don't talk about money in Germany. The management said don't talk about money. George Gershwin. Let's get back to music. George Gershwin, one of Prince Charles's favorite pieces of music, apparently. Now whether this is true or not I don't know, but this is what Google told me. And it makes sense because if you listen to the title of it and the words involved, it makes absolute perfect sense. It's called They Can't Take That Away From Me. And I think if you're a member of the royal family, or at least if you're a major member of the royal family, you're right. They can't take it away from you. Ah, they can't take that away from me. That's what I said when I heard the email about the camera. Ah, they can't take that away from me. A long time ago, a very, 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 very long time. It must be a very long time ago, because the piece of music was written in the 1930s. And the story behind it is that Her Majesty, the late Queen, would of an evening sing this piece of music to her older children. I'm not sure if she sung it to... Here's a song that I recall my mother sang to me. Ah. That was the Goons, remember? Yes, we talked about the Goons on Friday night. She sang it as she tucked me in when I was 93. There you are. Anyway, who sang that? Part of the Goons song, the Ying Tong song. We should do some Goons music, because Prince Charles is a great Goons fan, so we should do some of that, shouldn't we? Anyway. What's wrong? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. When Vanessa goes, oh, there's something's wrong. What happened? Did you just delete something you shouldn't have deleted?
Nee.
What's wrong? Oh no.
Ich suche irgendwas, aber ich... Eine Katastrophe, ey.
Was denn? Was suchst du? Ah!
Kann das sein? Das hast du auch schon bestätigt. Hemd Freedom hast du schon bestätigt.
Yes, we already played that.
Weil, ich weiß nicht, was der meint.
Who's it for?
Dass du ihn nicht vergessen hast.
Who did I forget?
Dieses G.C. Bauge. Warte mal. G.C. Bauge heißt eigentlich John Wilson.
Yes. Did we get something?
Fraser does not have forgot me. Aber was hast du nicht vergessen?
What did I forget, John?
I don't know.
John, tell me what I forgot, John. Vanessa's trying to find it. Did we forget thing? Jez M. Sellers. It wasn't Peter Sellers who sung "There's a Song That I Recall." That was someone. That was a professional singer they got in for the job. Not the Goonies at St. Charles. No. The Goons, 1950s British radio comedy. The pioneers of British comedy, basically. If it wasn't for the Goons, there would never have been Monty Python or any of that kind of thing. Anyway, what am I talking about? Oh yes, this piece of music. Allegedly, and I have no idea if this is true or not. If I ever get the chance, I will ask to find out. A piece of music from a musical called Me and My Girl, sorry, was apparently a great favourite of the royal family in those days. So the older children, I was talking about the older children, so Charles and Anne, and apparently they used to love when their mum sung this to them of an evening. Now, I, for some reason, can't picture Her Majesty singing this kind of music to her children, but one never knows. The piece of music in question requires a ukulele, or to be more precise, a banjolele. I don't have a working ukulele anymore.
Doch, noch mit 3 Seiten.
A certain person, I have a ukulele, a gift from an old friend. I have a ukulele with 3 strings on it because a certain person decided to try tuning the 4th string to see what would happen. And what happened? Ping! I haven't replaced it yet. Yes, apparently she wanted to tune it for me. Anyway, so yes, if I had a working ukulele, I would dig it out and play this on a ukulele, but thankfully I don't. So we're going to have to do it this way. See if you recognize this. Rum-pa-dum-pa-dum. I'm leaning on a lamppost at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by. Oh me, oh my, I hope that little lady comes by. Ibagum. Yeah, we've got to do all this. So Lancashire lad, I think he was from Lancashire, wasn't he? George Formby? Yes. George Formby pretended to be a frightfully working class chap from Lancashire. Turns out, however, he wasn't. He was an incredibly well-to-do chap from a very well-to-do family, and his wife, Mrs. Formby, a rather fearsome character, was the one who kept him managed. It's great having someone behind you to do all the management.
Okay.
Nothing.
Ja.
Nothing. Alles gut.
Was ist denn hier schon wieder?
I beg your pardon?
Was ist jetzt schon wieder mit mir?
Oh, nothing. You're the best person in the universe. No, that much we know. You're the best person in the universe. I've got to say that. Our good friend Joe from...
Warte, was sagst du?
I beg your pardon?
Was sagst du jetzt?
Joe, a request from Joe. Huh?
Okay.
I beg your pardon?
Okay, kannst du machen.
I'm allowed to do... Oh, thank you. The management says I'm allowed to play a request from Joe. All right. Regular viewers of the channel will know that our good friend Joe always has an amazing list of music that he sort of digs out. And when I mentioned I was doing some Charlie music for tonight, Joe sent me a lot of interesting suggestions, none of which I could actually find, which was rather worrying. At least certainly couldn't have found them quickly and to be played on the organ. I could find orchestral scores, and although I can play from orchestral scores, I'm not going to sight read from a sort of 30 line orchestral score, constantly turning pages. So, anyway, but one of the pieces he requested, and it's a wonderful piece of music that I suspect was sung at a coronation at some point. It's a wonderful piece of music by one of my favourite composers, Vaughan Williams. And there's a family connection to Vaughan Williams. I bet my mum even doesn't know this. Behind the light that's shining on my face, there's a family portrait of a wonderfully eccentric old member of our family, who shall remain nameless for now. But she was very well to do and knew everybody who was anybody. And she was chummy with Vaughan Williams. And anyway, that's by the by, that's got nothing to do with this. But she was very pally with Vaughan Williams and was very fond of his piece of music called The Serenade to Music. Very fond of it, in fact. And anyway, and I wonder if she was fond of this one as well. It's a rather wonderful piece of music for a choir. It's very simple. It's supposed to be a cappella. It's supposed to be a cappella. And it should actually be sung a semitone lower than it is here. So why don't I transpose it down a semitone? Shall I do that? Yes, let's transpose it down a semitone. It's in the key of G, it's written in the key of G, but I'm going to play it in G flat, just because that's the way it should be done. And it's rather beautiful. It's called Oh, Taste and See. Taste and See, that's a text that's been, or those are lyrics and words that have been used many times in choral music. There's even a hymn in the German hymn book, Taste and See, with international language. Anyway, here's an exercise in sight reading and transposing. Let's find out what we can do with this. Oh, taste and see. With one transposing mistake, I forgot to play C flat instead of C natural. Naughty boy. Ladies and gentlemen, while we're on the subject of playing things in G flat, let's sing a song together for our friend Rien Schalkwijk. Rien, who's here tonight. Colonel Ryan, as you know, or the Iron King. Called all of those things because all of those things are true. Rien is a Dutch organist with his own YouTube channel. Rien has just taken possession of his very own custom-made Hauptwerk console, which is rather delicious looking. Beautiful 3-manual console. He only got it last week and he's very excited with his new toy, and it came perfectly because on Friday it was Rien's birthday. We sang happy birthday for him on Friday night. He, of course, was out with his family having fun, but let's do it again tonight. Happy birthday, Rien, and we're going to do it in 2 languages, do it in English and in Dutch. I have no idea what happy birthday is in Dutch, but the joy of YouTube is you can all do it privately and I don't get to hear you. Happy birthday, Rien. What? I'm not going to sing. I'm not going to. One day. Actually, we'll do that as a challenge. One day I will sing for you. One day I will do that as a challenge. But there's not enough money in the world to get me to sing anything like that. Now, there was a request. Rien had a wonderful request. And I'm going to play it now. I've never played this, but it's a piece of music I've never played, but I do love it. It's one of my favorite pieces of music. It is actually one of my favorite pieces. It's actually a favorite piece of music in the Gartshore household. My dad, if my dad's awake and listening, he'll probably start joining into this. The Wonderful World of Dire Straits and Mark Knopfler. Whatever you might think of Mark Knopfler himself, and we'll come to that in a minute, the music is absolutely wonderful and magnificent music. Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler on his own, wonderful stuff. Phenomenal guitar player, absolutely phenomenal guitar player, very knowledgeable, very talented, especially with jazzy stuff these days. Absolutely wonderful, but he knows everything about the history of guitar, wonderful thing. However, he's a very dour and unfriendly character in private life, which is a bit of a shame. I met Mark Knopfler a couple of times and oh God, it was like, I mean, very knowledgeable. We got on very well. We did what we had to do and it was all very, it was all very good, but oh my God. You wouldn't want to spend too much time with him. It's one of those occasions where you sort of, you start fantasizing about, pulling your own teeth out or hammering parts of your body to a piece of wood, that kind of thing, just to get away from it. Anyway. This was Rien's request, and I think it's a very perfect request for anybody going through any kinds of changes in their lives at this moment. It's called The Walk of Life, and I think that's a wonderful tune, and I think we'll dedicate it to King Charles, actually, because he's been waiting a long time for his position, and congratulations, he'll do a wonderful job. Let's see if we can play this on the organ. I've never played this on the organ before. Let's see what it works. Let's see if it works. I have no idea. It's in the key of E major, which is great if you're playing the guitar, but hell if you're playing this. interesting playing music on the organ, music like that on the organ, because you never really know how it's going to work. I always thought there was more to that tune than there was. Turns out there isn't. Anyway, never mind. Walk of Life, Walk of Life. A great old-fashioned, a great old sort of rocky classic that the world needs. Wonderful old stuff. Oh, hold on a minute. Let's do that later. While we're on the subject of rocky, hard stuff, this was a request for Gregor. And Gregor requested this recently, and I didn't play it before because I wanted to wait until I had this in my hand. Ha 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 ha. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is the opening number. That's too loud. That's too loud, he said. It's full organ. This is the opening number of the Organ Works CD, and this was requested or commissioned by my friend Dirk from Switzerland. And Dirk in Switzerland, Dirk's not originally from Switzerland, but he lives in Switzerland now. And Dirk is an absolutely outstanding Hammond organ player. And Dirk, he loves the kinds of, sort of the funky stuff I do on the organ. And he requested a piece of music in a sort of rocky, but sort of prog rock, hard rock, that kind of style. So, kind of difficult to do this on the organ, but let's see what you think. Like I said at the beginning, the one we did, Misterioso Tranquillo, was from my friend Michael T. Michael T with his surname. And this one is for Dirk B, so I called it a direct blast. Now, obviously, current affairs in the world, this might not be the most politically correct title, but at the time I wrote this, everything was peaceful in the world. So yes, so if you think it's not as tasteful as it might be, it's nothing to do with nowadays. It was written a long time ago. It's just being premiered now. Direct blast for Dirk. Direct blast for Dirk. Uh-oh, I'm getting a look from the management. And the look from the management says, I have to switch the microphone off. Private, hold on, I mean I have a glug of my drink. Ooh, that was direct blast. Yes, I loved that one. That was great fun doing that one. I did that one on, it was the organ of Nancy Cathedral. That's the one we did that one on. But with those huge en chamade trumpets. Sounds even better on this one, I think. Wow, wonderful. Ah, I like that one. Good fun, that stuff. There's all sorts of great sort of fun stuff in there. If you're an organist, there's one that's a lead sheet. I wrote it as a melody with chords because it's written on a theatre organ. It was done on a theatre organ. And I thought, no, I'm not going to write it out exactly as I play it. I'm going to do it as a lead sheet so that people can improvise it themselves. All sorts of fun stuff in there. So when it's available, I would love it if you all got yourselves a copy. First of all, the CD, and then at some point in later date, I'm going to introduce the pieces of music and I may make the music available. It was supposed to be very nice and exclusive for the folks. And that's the way it's going to stay for the beginning. So anyway, back to the music, favorite music of Prince Charles. Now, like I said, I Googled this. Prince Charles, who's Prince Charles? King Charles. How many people have been saying that since Thursday? Anyway, I Googled this and apparently there's a lot of music he likes. And to be honest, I don't really believe all of it. I don't think he's into that kind of thing. But this one I can believe. A wonderful piece of music by a guy called Luigi, or Louis Guy. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced. Probably Luigi. It's probably a play on words. A French guy who calls himself Luigi, but you will recognize it as a wonderful piece of music, written originally by Mac David, an American chap, but a rather minuscule French singing lady added the French text to it. Her name was Edith Piaf, and the piece of music in question was called La Vie en Rose. You may recognize it. This is going to get copyright claimed. Wait for this. La vie en rose. Actually, Edith Piaf. You have to do that kind of. I don't know how she did it naturally. I have no idea how she did it. She must have been standing on one of those sort of those things that shake you about. What were they called? Those plates that you stand on and they shake you around, allegedly to lose weight. But when she was singing, or she was underwater, that's another possibility. Sorry, it's late at night. It's Sunday, and yes, you know what that means. Yes. In the wonderful world in which we live, and all its negativity, everyone gets thoroughly involved in negativity. Well, Mrs. Gartshore and I do not possess something called a television set. We don't believe in television. We think it's a disgrace. And let's face it, there's only crap on television anyway. And between the crap, it's only bad news. So we don't have a television. We get our news from reliable sources and ignore the mass media. Which I would actually suggest a lot of you do as well. You're all wonderful YouTube people, so thank you very much for that. But spend less time watching crap on television and more time enjoying life. Vanessa and I, we're one of those bizarre couples these days. We talk to each other. We go for walks with our dog and talk to each other the entire time. When we have no time to do other things, we talk. We're always talking at each other, and that's not true. Talking with each other, to each other. Wonderful dialogues, and we are. I would hazard a bit. I would say we are very happy people. We are very happy, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're very happy. We are poor as church mice, but we are very happy, and that's the way. Well, that's the way we'd like to keep it. The happiness part of it. We are very happy. We love our lives. We have a wonderful time, and we are constantly saying, "Wouldn't it be so much better in the world if everyone was just happy, if everyone wasn't interested in what other people are up to and what other people are worried about, what other people are talking about, what other people think of them? Who cares what people think about you?" Oscar Wilde said, "As long as they're talking about you, who cares what they say?" Or something along those lines. I don't think he actually said that, but people like to say he did. Let's just be happy. And there's a wonderful piece of music that I also found on the list of things that Uncle Charlie apparently likes, and it's this. It's simply called "Spread a Little Happiness." spread a little happiness. And I like to think, and I hope I'm not being big-headed when I say this, that our little live streams on Friday nights and Sunday nights, that we manage to spread a little happiness ourselves. We need more happiness in our world. If we had more happiness in our world, I think it would be a much better place. Don't you think so? Don't you think so? I like to be happy. That's another song we could play. Let's do that at some other point. A wonderful request. I played this not that long ago, but I'm going to play it again because last time I played it on the theatre organ, and I think tonight we'll play it on this one. It's great fun. It's not that long ago since we played it, so someone obviously heard it and thought they would like it. Mrs. Gartshore disappeared during that number and came back. Is everything all right? Yes? Was the dog crying in the background? Oh, our poor little dog was downstairs having a bad dream, and Vanessa had to go downstairs and give him a quick cuddle. There you are. See, that's the kind of happiness we have in this house. When the dog has a nasty dream, one of us goes and attends to the dog, gives him a quick cuddle, lets him know that we're there, and life carries on as normal. Yeah, happiness. Back in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, I was not a happy bunny. And since Vanessa came into my life, I have been a very happy bunny. Vanessa has made me the happiest person in the world. She's absolutely wonderful. You should all have your own Vanessa. Not my one, obviously, but you should all have your own Vanessa. And Vanessa would probably say you should all have your own Fraser, or maybe not, actually. Do you wish everyone has a Fraser?
Ja.
Really?
Aber nicht mein.
Oh, poor them. I'm not an easy person to live with, then again, nor is she. But we are easy for each other. But I think in other circumstances, it would be great fun. Yes, I didn't have much luck in the past, let's put it like that. And now that we've found each other, we're the happiest couple in the world. That's what it's all about. Now, did I get that piece of music right? Before we move on to the request here. There's a certain number of pieces in E-flat major. There's that one, there's Misty. There's Somewhere Over the Rainbow. There's Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square. All of those pieces are in E-flat major, and they all have a sort of middle bit to them, a middle eight. So in this one it's... that kind of thing, yeah? And it's sometimes easy to get those middle bits mixed up. And here's an example of exactly that happening. No, we'll do the other request first, then we'll do this one. Anyway. Piece of music I dedicate to all unhappily married men out there. Only married men. Don't care about unhappily married women. Just the naughty boy, of course I do. Unhappily married people out there, I dedicate this song to you. It's called I Wish I Knew How It Felt to Be Free. And it was the theme tune to a BBC film series for many, many years. And it's a wonderful piece of music from Professor Billy Taylor. It's wonderful. It sounds like this. Billy Taylor wrote that. People are talking about who wrote it, or something that came up with this. It was written by Billy Taylor, Professor Billy Taylor, sadly no longer with us. Wonderful chap. I think the most famous version of that was Nina Simone. Nina Simone sang that many, many times. She, it's kind of credited to her that she wrote the words. There were lyrics to that song, and we're not really sure who did write them. Maybe it was Nina Simone, but she definitely had the best performance. I wish I knew how it would feel or how it felt to be free. Depends on how many syllables you want to have in your title. Wonderful piece of music, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, how are you enjoying your Sunday night as organ music night so far? How are ticket sales tonight, Vanessa? Ticket sales are okay, says Vanessa. She's looking at me and she's got that, you know when women purse their lips and do that? She just did that. But she's happy. We're happy, aren't we? We're happy. We're happy. We're always happy. We're always happy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting towards the midnight hour, but I think it's time for something soft and sensual. This organ, this Billerbeck organ, has the most amazing, I have to go all the way past my loud stuff to get to this what I want. Here we go. Absolutely wonderful, amazing sounds on here. And you can have a lot of fun with it. Let's have one soft, sensual one, and then we're going to close off with, allegedly, King Charles's favorite piece of jazz music. Come to that in a moment. Here's a soft, gentle one you might recognize. Misty. Oh, the hiccups are back in the background. And did you notice what I did in the middle? I did exactly what I said I was afraid of doing in Spread a Little Happiness, getting the middle bit wrong. I played the middle part of, did anyone recognize it? Someone to Watch Over Me. Haha, someone to watch over me. Get it? There's method in my madness somewhere there. Ladies and gentlemen, let's finish this evening's celebrations with a piece of music, allegedly a favourite of King Charles. It's a wonderful old number made very famous by the wonderful Fats Waller. You all know I love the music of Fats Waller. Wonderful piano player, wonderful organ player. Fats Waller was the first jazz organist of them all. And he didn't record this on the organ, but this is what it might have sounded like. It's a piece of music about a lady of ill repute who returned to a certain place in the United States to conduct her business. It's a wonderful piece of music called Lulu's Back in Town. That, ladies and gentlemen, will be the end of it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us for Sunday night is Organ Music Night. We will be back at the very latest on Friday with another live concert, but during the week there will be more regular content. Yes, we are free of all sorts of nonsense around us at the moment, and we're going to get back to creating regular content, which also means we'll be back out and about real organs at some point very soon. And this week we will be presenting our festival program from the end of September to the first week in October. We will be having another organ festival here in Gartshore land. So I hope you're going to be around for that. A week of organ concerts coming up again, live, all of it. Great fun. Lulu's Back in Town. See you on Friday.